Here we are on Friday, January 14th, and this will be our second of 4 sessions in which I'm describing my journey from too much reactivity in my life to mostly allowing. Note the mostly. People close to me know that it's still mostly, but as opposed to entirely. However, it's a big shift. On Wednesday, I talked about a sequence of 3 experiences that were about triggering, my own personal experiences. One in which I felt as if I'd been ignored, and I took it very personally, and ended up verbally lashing out at a fellow employee in a way that was full of righteous indignation. And I was barely able to even acknowledge after the fact how inappropriate I'd been. The righteous indignation felt so good. And I'm sure we've all had those moments. If the rest of you haven't, then there's a lot of fun waiting for you. The second episode I described was one where I felt people were behaving inappropriately, not following the rules, not being fair to the others. And it was in my mind, was turning into a chaotic situation. And as a result of various experiences growing up, I have a pretty low threshold for emotional chaos. However, in that situation, I was much farther along in my mindfulness journey, and I was able to practice rain and in effect shake off this anxiety, this sense of being potentially triggered, and step back into the situation and recognize that the behavior by others was still going on, but my reaction to it was next to nothing. Oh, this is inappropriate, so that's it. The third instance I offered was, again, several years later, a situation in which I made a mistake, and I realized I'd made a mistake and regrouped, came up with a couple of alternatives, chose one of them, and straightened the situation out. And it was only 24 hours later that I realized that I had passed on an opportunity of saying to myself, "You dummy, Davidson, how could you have done something so stupid?" Which is what I'd been saying to myself for decades. So there was this progression for me, shifting from being in this place of being triggered and barely even aware of how inappropriate my behavior was, to being able to sidestep it. This is about allowing. This is about coming into this place of allowing. So today I want to talk about how meditation and what I have come to learn about what meditation is all about that has been a benefit to me. One of Kay's favorite mindfulness meditation teachers is a fellow named Gil Fronsdal, Fronsdal. He has a Sangha in Redwood City, California, which is in the heart of Silicon Valley. And he's a great, great teacher. And I once listened to him talk about meditation. And he began by saying, meditation, we don't meditate to get good at meditating. We don't meditate to vanquish our thoughts and emotions. We don't meditate to try to find peace and happiness. We meditate to become more skillful at observing the experiences in our lives. In particular, when we meditate, as many of you have learned, when we observe what's happening, how thoughts and emotions come and go, how sensations come and go, how experiences come and go during the meditation. That's our firsthand direct experience with impermanence. The first of the 3 P's, the 3 realities of life. Life is not permanent, it's not perfect, and we don't need to take it personally. When we are in the observer role of our experiences, then we get this firsthand knowledge of what it means to be with these 3 realities of life. We may like them sometimes, we may not like them sometimes, but they're inescapable. This is just how life is. It keeps changing. It's not perfect. Stuff happens. And we don't need to take it personally because there's really no fixed self. There's no independent self. Excuse me, the phone rang and it distracts everything, and I'm back. When we shift into this place of being the observer, then we're beginning to change our relationship to these experiences. When we realize that the thoughts come and go, we're no longer controlled by them. They no longer are in charge. When the emotions come and go, we change our relationship to them. We go from being controlled by and attached to having a sense of spaciousness where we can make choices, where we can be in this place of freedom, be fully present, or whatever word or phrase works best for you. I happen to like fully present, and maybe that resonates with you, but I would encourage you to choose your own phrase. So let's take a moment and do a little practice here. This is a short reflection practice. And begin by taking a couple of deep breaths and settling in. Letting go, letting go. And as you're turning your attention to your breathing, on each in-breath, expanding your awareness a little bit from just being inside yourself and your breathing to incorporating whatever chair or place you're sitting on. So your awareness now incorporates yourself, your body, your breathing, and the seat you're on. And with each in-breath, continue expanding your awareness, letting it inch out one breath at a time to begin incorporating the space you're in, the room you're in. Sometimes I do this by recalling some specific part of the room that I'm in and incorporating that into my awareness. And in this expanded awareness, observing your natural breathing. No special effort at breathing, just the natural flow of your breath, observing in expanded awareness. And also observing the arising of thoughts and emotions in this expanded awareness. Observing their fading away and impermanence. Observing being in this allowing mode, where you're merely observing thoughts, emotions, they're arising and fading away. And now recalling a recent experience in your life that's an example of impermanence. Something suddenly shifted. You had perhaps some expectations that things were going to go in one direction, and then they went in another. And appreciating that in all likelihood, this change, this impermanence was beyond your control. Perhaps saying to yourself silently once or twice, beyond my control, beyond my control. And letting go of this experience with impermanence. And coming back for 2 or 3 breaths to expanding your awareness. Expanding back gradually, one in-breath at a time, to awareness of the room that you're in. To being in a little greater space. And in this expanded awareness, recalling a difficult childhood circumstance, something you recall from your childhood that wasn't very pleasant. Thinking of the specifics, who was present, what was happening, what was said. And now noticing the extent to which this unpleasant experience was beyond your control. You were a child. It was happening to you. Even if you made a mistake, you're a child. Saying silently to yourself, beyond my control, beyond my control. and noticing the quality of allowing that is now likely to be present. The sense of letting go. This sense of space. Expanded awareness, space, observer. In realizing that you have choices about how to deal with impermanence, about how to deal with difficult situations. Noticing what sensations are present inside you right now in this place of observing and allowing. Just resting in this place of allowing. And taking another moment or two to notice how you are in this moment. So we'll head into our breakout groups now. Mostly there will be groups of 3. And in the breakout group, just continuing our exploration about how being triggered is taking something personally, and how taking something personally relates to one or more of the 4 conditions of being human that's beyond our control. How we have this nexus of this third P, not taking things personally, and the 4 conditions, how they interact in ways that often are the source of our triggering. So just explore that a little bit, and be sure to be in a place of listening really carefully to what other people say.